respected teachers, Principal Ma'am, and all my dear friends. Today I am going to present my project on evolution in shelter. Scissor, oil paster, sticks, watercolors, markers, chart papers, one coconut shell and shades. So, what is shelter? Why we need it? Yes, shelter is for protection for us from natural disasters such as snow, wind, rain, heat and wild animals. 25,000 years ago, people used mammoth hide tents. They used mammoth skin for the roof and they used stones and bones to support the tent. 4,000 years later, people found how to do agriculture. They knew how to grow crops, so they have to stay near them entire season. They need shelter without any worries of wild animals and weather. The first human civilization, called Sumer, is nowadays called Iraq. The kings, nobles and merchants live in big huge houses and the small people live in small houses. Ancient Egyptians used clay bricks for the flat roof houses. Wood and stones were so common. Slowly, people got better and better materials such as wood, bricks, stone, etc. Then they used pillars to support the ceiling. Then windows were formed to let in air and light come. In 15th century, glass was invented. There were windows made up of glass. The greenhouse, the whole house was made up of glass. And here is our modern building made up of steel, cement, bricks, stones and glass. So, this is the period of evolution from mammoth hide tents to my modern building Lakshmi complex. Thank you. Hi friends. Today I am going to take you all to an exciting adventure of the train's history. Train journeys are so much fun, especially with all the scenery around. But do you know the story behind the invention of trains? In 1804, an engineer, Richard Trevithick, created an engine that contained a burning fireworks fed by coal, and its high temperature turned the water in the boiler to steam. The steam was passed through the pipes to the machine, and this caused the piston to move back and forth. The piston was connected to the drive wheel, and due to its movement, the wheel completed one full circle and the engine moved forward. Richard then attached the carriages to the engine and created the first locomotive, but the locomotive was so heavy that it broke many cast iron rails, and later George Stephenson replaced the cast iron rails with wrought iron and came up with the first public steam railway in 1825 called Locomotion Number 1. We have come a long way since then. Diesel trains were introduced in the 1930s. The first electric passenger train ran at Berlin. Power for the electric engine came from the overhead cables. Trapans, high-speed trains, were
special rails by magnets fitted both in the train and the track. Maglev trains are the fastest passenger carrying vehicles and travel at 400 kilometers per hour. I hope you all enjoy the journey to the train's history with me. Thank you.
My project is evolution of shelter from olden age to new age construction. Shelter along with food and clothing is one of man's most essential necessities. Shelter protects people from the weather, shield them against wild animals and insects, and provides a place to rest. The most common form of shelter would be that of housing. Shelter has evolved into many different forms like caves, huts, tents, etc. In earliest prehistory era, before man knew how to build shelter, they made up of the natural environment to provide them shelter. A cave is a natural hollow space under the ground that has an opening large enough for a person to fit to enter. People who explore caves are called cavers or In the past, people lived in caves, which provided greater protection against weather through offering less protection against wild animals. Tent is a shelter consisting of sheets of fabric or other material draped over poles or fabric or other material or attached to a supporting rope. Smaller tents may be freestanding or attached to the ground. Large tents are usually tied by rope. Essentially, buildings were made of perishable materials like leaves, branches, and animal hides. With inventions, natural like stone, clay, and timber were used to slowly came the age of bricks and concrete. Today we see buildings made of bricks, concrete, wood, steel, and glass. Thank you for listening to me.
I'm going to present how the evolution of shelter took place. This is the model of the cave. Around 12,000 years ago, there was no houses, and earlier humans lived in the caves to protect themselves from wild animals and changing climate conditions. The caves were found within rocks. It gave them greater protection against weather but less protection against wild animals. This is the model of a stone house. The early humans lived in the caves to protect themselves. As their intelligence level grew, they started making better houses using stones and other materials. As shown in the model, stones were placed at the base to firmly hold the cut branches of trees in place, and these branches were arranged in way to form a shelter. This is the model of a village. By 4000 BC, agricultural farming had spread. Farming villages like this developed throughout Europe, India, Egypt, China, and Mexico. People used to live in houses built with clay and mud. This is the model of
Principal Ma'am, Vice Principal Ma'am, teachers and all my dear friends. Welcome to the Digital Nirmaan Exhibition 2020, and today I am going to give a digital presentation on the topic phone generation. Do you know who invented telephone? Who has immensely contributed to the world of communication? Yes, it was Alexander Graham Bell who invented the telephone in the year 1876, and his phone was called Bell telephone. It had a big earphone and a big microphone to make calls. He made his first call to his assistant and said, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." There was another famous scientist called Thomas Edison who said that when we pick up the phone, the first thing which we should say is hello. Then came candlestick phone in the year 1904. I have made the model of candlestick phone and I will demonstrate its working. As you can see, the phone had a small earphone and a small microphone to make calls, and they were attached with a wire. One interesting thing about this phone was that when we picked the receiver up, then the call would directly get connected to the telephone operator sitting in the telephone exchange, and they would connect the call to the person who we wanted to speak to. In the olden days, the people who could not afford telephone would go to telephone booth to make call. Then came rotary phone with a rotating dialer to make calls. The receiver of this phone had earphone and microphone together. Then came push button phone with buttons instead of a rotating dialer to make call. After that came cordless phone, which had receiver with earphone, microphone and number buttons all together to make calls. It had no wire, so we can take it from one room to another. With the improvement of technology came mobile phones, which help us to not only communicate with each other, but it also helps us to text messages, do video calling, click photos, etc. It has completely changed the way we communicate with each other. And the best features of this phone is that we can carry it all around the world. The invention and evolution of phones have made our lives and communication very easy. Thank you.
Evolution in human shelter through model. The Stone Age man in the earliest prehistoric era was not knowing how to build shelter, so they made the use of natural environment to provide themselves with shelter like trees and caves. Men slowly learned how to make simple tools that help them to make better shelter with bamboo, sticks, grass, etc. Eventually, they started taking mud from ground and dried in the sun to form clay blocks and started making mud and bricks house. Many technological innovation took place during the period which resulted the construction of designer house like this bungalow. And with the increase in the population, there was rise in the demand of human shelter. Man started constructing high-rise buildings to meet their demand. Thank you.
Hello friends, welcome to the world of games. Hey Mario, you can wait. So friends, let me share you about the history of gaming. There are a lot of games around us. Let me show you how these games were launched. They are made up of two important things, the game and the controller. The first game was created by scientists and it was a cathode ray tube amusement device. In 1952, a professor named A.S. Douglas created the game OXO. You want to know what is OXO? It's tic-tac-toe. Let's play. In 1958, William Higginbotham created the game Tennis for Two using oscilloscope and aluminium controllers. In 1961, Space War was created at MIT. This game had two spaceships, the needle and the wedge. Let's see who wins. In 1972, Ralph Baer developed the first console game called Odyssey. He is also known as the father of video games. In 1978, a company named Midway launched a game called Space Invaders. Space Invaders is a game for record and high scores. Hey, someone is invading us, let's attack! In 1980, Japanese company Namco released a game called Pac-Man. It gave them millions of dollars. Let me show you the game. Then came Donkey Kong by Nintendo. Let me tell you a story of this game. In this game, Donkey Kong was the pet of the carpenter. Then the kids were liking this character, so they made a game with this character. Guess who it is? Yes, it's our famous Mario. Lots of consoles and games were launched. Gaming became a household name, and then kids started loving and enjoying it. With advances with technology today, gaming has a new meaning. There are mobile games, VR games, sensor games, MMOG games, and a lot of more fun. That's it, friends. Hope you have a lot of fun. Now time for some gaming. Bye.
Topic is evolution of clock. Over the years, many things have been changed and they are really important. Time is money and the history of clock is very long and fascinating. This is a sundial. It was the very first device used by the humans to tell time. This is used by creating a shadow from the sun which shows a line on the written numbers. After that was invented the water clock by the Persians in 328 AD. In this method, the water is transferred from a bowl to another bowl from a hole, and the written lines on the bowl helps to tell the time. After that was invented the candle clock by the Chinese in 520 AD. In this method, the humans use a frame like this to measure the candle, and when the candle starts melting, the humans judge the time. This was not an efficient and accurate method. After that was invented the hourglass in France in 1338. In this method, the sand is poured through a hole. This was the most popular and accurate method. After that was invented the spring-driven clock, the cuckoo clock, and the pendulum clock. This was invented by Christian Heinz in 1657. In this method, the balance of the spring keeps the pendulum rotating. This was the most popular method. After that was invented the alarm clock. In this method, the humans set a particular time, and at that time the bell rings of the alarm. The type of alarm clock is a Big Ben, which was invented in 1908 in London. After that was invented the quartz clock, the most accurate one. This clock is used by batteries and vibration. The pins of the clock rotates and tells the time. Now we have many modern ways to tell time, like digital watch, smartwatch, and wristwatch. Now we can also tell the time of different countries staying at one place with a new technological watches. We have come a long time ago from the sundials to the smart watches. The history shows how we have grown from time to time with our technology and intelligence. In the future, there will be more modern ways to tell time. Thank you.
The name of my project is Indus Valley Civilization, which is also known as Harappan Civilization. This civilization established in the bank of River Indus and is one of the earliest known urban culture in Indian subcontinent. This is citadel. The Harappan cities are divided into two main parts: the raised area known as citadel and the lower town. The citadel is a large castle that is usually built to protect cities or towns from attacks or disaster. Great bath, a rectangular structure which resembles a swimming pool. It is known as the earliest public tank of the ancient world. Lower town. This is the residential area where the common people lived. The houses are made of burnt bricks. Agriculture and animal rearing are the main occupation of the people. These are the animals used by them. Seeds. These are the seeds used for trade. The Indus people worship a father god who may have been the forefather of the race. These are the utensils used by the people. Thank you. I'm sticking the plants to show the agriculture. In lower town houses, I've used cardboard to make it. I'm using matchsticks to make the window and door. Made a citadel. I've used boxes to make it. Now I'm painting it brown. A great barn. I used box to make it and cardboard to make the stairs. Now I'm drawing the bricks. Now I'm arranging the models. Now my Harappan civilization is ready.
The three most essential necessities of humans are food, clothes, and shelter. So let's start my project Shelter. My project name is Evolution of Shelter. Home is a place that provides us shelter. Shelter protects us from bad weather and also shield us from wild animals and insects. But did you know shelter has changed a lot over time, like trees, caves, tent, hut, houses and buildings. Before men knew how to build a shelter, men were dependent on nature shelter like trees and caves. But trees were not really safe because trees did not protect men from bad weather, wild animals and insects. But in the case of cave, early men had to walk until they did not find a cave, and early men were dependent on nature. And humans start making tents. Tents were mainly used far from the wild animals. Tents were made out of trees, branches and some rocks. Some tents are made out of mammoth skin and bones. After tent, humans started to build hut. Now hut was more comfortable than cave because humans could build hut according to their own requirement. But there was no such option in cave because in those times men were dependent on nature and hut was more safer than cave because men made far from the wild animals and hut had less space and less people could accommodate. Eventually soil was taken from the ground and dried it under the sun. This formed bricks. These bricks are very strong. So houses and buildings were made, and houses and buildings took less space but more people could accommodate. Thank you. Today I will tell you about phone generation. Phone is a device which is used to communicate with people who are far away from us. Alexander Graham Bell invented telephone in 1876. It was a phone with a dialer and receiver in it. We have to dial a number, hold the receiver and talk with each other. We have to connect the phone with wires. Then mobile phones or wireless phones were invented in 1973. But the weight of handset phone was 2 kilograms and were bigger in size, so it was difficult to carry them everywhere. It had one antenna attached to the top to get the signal. Phones have evolved to be more compact and to have longer battery life and added features of running apps and sending text messages. These phones were often called as zero-G mobile phones or zero generation. The first ever portable mobile phone was like this. Then small-sized mobile phones added features of sending text messages, receiving calls, SMS, music, camera. Like this mobile, it was a simple phone with less features. Then some phones came with flap either horizontally or vertically. In 2003 to 2006, BlackBerry introduced phones and added features of front-facing camera and bigger screen. In 2007 to 2010, touchscreen smart mobiles were introduced with all features of internet, smart calling, and computer. In 2011 to 2014, smartphones became popular with increased speed and added features. In 2015 to 2018, video calling facility was improved. Mobile payment was also introduced. Mobile payment was also introduced to buy the things on smartphones. The mobile screen size continued to grow. Today we have the fifth generation services. It promises increased data speed. Here we have the latest mobile phones now in our hand. Still, scientists are working to add more and more features in these mobile phones. Thank you.
Today I will tell you about cookware. I study in Dalmia High School. So the first thing is grinder. It is used to grind wheat. In olden days we use this grinder. In the modern days we use floor grinder machine. This is mortar pestle. It is used to make a paste of anything like chutney. In the olden days it is using. In modern days we use mixer to make chutney on. The next thing is churner. It is made of wood. It is used to make lassi and chaat. In olden days they use this to mix the things. In modern days we use the hand mixie. Now I will talk about different materials to make cookware. First one is clay. In clay mostly people store water. In olden days people also cooked in it. In clay the water kept cold for a long time. This is made of brass. It is healthy to eat in this because it helps to our blood circulation and purification. The next is ceramic. This is made of ceramic. This is very delicate. It is used to drink tea and coffee and make food. Now I will tell you about steel. This is made of steel. This is non-reactive. This is easily available in the market. This is made of copper. Copper utensils are so.
I welcome you all to my project. My topic is the evolution of transportation. During the Stone Age, people used to walk and run upon the earth. They swam and floated in seas and rivers. By 3500 BC, we developed wheel cart and water boat. In 15th century, we invented an advanced ship to make our traveling easily for trading and exploration. In 1804, the world saw their first steam-powered railway engine. In 1816, we invented a bicycle. In 1903, we invented a auto-driven aeroplane. In 1908, we invented a engine-powered automobile. There are 4 modes of transportation, which are railway, roadway, waterway and airway. Now we use all of these transportations to travel short distances and long distances. These transportations everybody. Today I am going to tell you about evolution in shelter. I have made these models to tell you about evolution in shelters. In prehistoric time, humans didn't know how to make shelter. So they started using natural environment and started living in caves to protect them from bad weather and wild animals. They evolved themselves and made tools from stones and wood and started making better structure. They kept domestic animals and started farming. After that, in early modern times, many evolution of technology take place and humans made long buildings from steel, bricks and cement. Thank you.
Good evening, respected ma'am, teachers, and all my dear friends.
We are going to learn about windmills.
So, how do you describe a windmill? A windmill is a machine that provides electricity from the source of wind.
Daniel Halide was the one who invented windmills. The basic 5 components of windmills are wind power source, blades, generator, tower and batteries.
Another name for windmills is wind-driven wheel. Iran was the first country that came up with the idea of having windmills.
Before, windmills were used mostly for picking up water from wells.
Netherlands is also called as the land of windmills because it's mostly recognized for its windmills. It can also produce electricity like this. So basically how it works is when our blade rotates, the motor behind it generates electricity that stores in our battery and gives light to our house. Thank you.
Hi friends, my today's topic is phone generation. Before the advent of telephone communications by Sunday, letters used to take days and weeks to reach generation. During the 1870s, two well-known inventors, Alexander Graham Bell and Elisha Gray, invented telephone. With the rise of telephonic conversation, it was easier to pick up phone and communicate with each other quickly. The first generation telephone, which introduced last century, were fixed through wires. They were meant for two-way voice communication. We commonly refer to them as landlines. It is the example of landline. The advent of cellular mobile technology in early 1980s communication device, we now call them as cell or mobile, allowed users to carry them along. Initially, with two-way voice, the early initial mobiles were able to handle two-way calls and also offer short messaging services at low speed data. This is the example of small phones. With the massive jump in technology in last couple of decades, data communication through mobile phone becomes smarter and faster. Nowadays, smartphone can do wide range things. It can browse data at very high speed. We can search anything on internet or download content from internet. Take photos, find places or direction, shopping, playing games, check news and cricket score, find out weather in your town, make banking and transfer of money and much more. And this is the example of smartphones.
The radiation from phone exposed person to cancer and other health problems. Mobile addiction is already a problem among young children and adults. It is changing the way how education school is delivered is good. It is good teaching and learning aid. Phone will drive cars and other vehicles in future. They will help diagnosing diseases and lot more. Thank you.
Hello friends, my project name is Phone Generation. Let's start. Alexander Graham Bell was the first inventor of the practical telephone in the year of 1876. Martin Cooper of Motorola made the first publicized handheld mobile phone. From 1890s to 2016, many technologies that came out with a better innovation. Telephone had crossed of the very big revolutionary period of time with a practical telephone in year of 1876. Rotary phone in 1960s. Nokia bar style phones. iPhone in 2017, Android in 2008. Touch phones came out, which are usually known as smartphones. These are the old version of Nokia. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing weapon. Weapon is an instrument for the purpose of killing, injuring or defeating an enemy. Weapons have evolved over the ages from ancient to modern times. Stones were primarily used for the making weapon in Stone Age. They were used for hunting animals. Humans started making weapons made up of iron later. They used sword, bow and arrow as restricted during battles and hunting during the medieval age. They also started using gunpowder for ballistic projectiles using different sizes of cannons. In the modern times, many advanced weapons have been developed. For example, automatic guns, rifles, rockets and missiles. Many countries have developed weapons of mass destruction by using lethal chemicals and radioactive materials. Weapons help to maintain peace, law and order and personal safety. On the other hand, they can also be used for destruction and destroying the peace. Weapons must always be used for good purposes to serve the mankind. Thank you.
Nirmaan, my beloved teachers and my dear friends. Today I will speak about evolution of telephones. The first telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1800. The first phone with ability to dial was invented in 1905. So, it slowly evolved to to Western Electric, Reese telephone, candlestick with dial, and to many various type of phones. So, I have made a model of candlestick with dial. This is the dial pad, the mouthpiece, the earpiece. I have made it with thermocol and glossy paper. This is the landline phones with cord. This is the cordless phone. These don't have wires. We can talk to this. We can take it everywhere we want. So you can see the shapes have evolved so much. From this to cordless phones and to mobile phones. So however, the mobile phones have evolved to cell phones, from cell phones to our smartphones. A smartphone has become the necessity of of everyone's life. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I am going to present a project on history of aeroplane. I am very excited to show you my project, which I have made with the help of my father. I found it very interesting because I just love aeroplanes and I wanted to learn more about it. Facts. Orville Wright and Wilbur Wright lived in America. Both are known as Wright brothers. They invented aeroplane in 17th December 1903. The first flight lasted only for 12 seconds, traveling 36 meters. I made the model of 1925 named Douglas C1. It was a large biplane, had wooden structure, wings are straight. It could carry only 2 to 3 passengers, used for military purposes. And this is model of 2010 named HL7434. It is a modern model. It could carry 150 to 200 passengers. For making the old one, I made cone shape with mount board. Used sunboard for wings. Paste with Fevikwik. I used silver color and little brown color to give old look. For the new model, I took an old broken toy plane, colored it and made details of plane. So we can see that the old aeroplane had less capacity, not so modified. But new model is luxurious, can carry around 150 to 200 passengers. It is comfortable, provide
delicious food and moreover ensure safety. Hence, aircraft are the best technology. Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone. My Nirmaan project topic is History of Clock. If we value time, time will value us. It is a device that helps us to measure an accurate time. It is the oldest human invention to measure an accurate time. We depend on time for our routine activities right from morning waking up and to sleeping at night. There are many routine activities: study time, meals time, playing time, sleeping time. The history of clock is very long and vast. There are many inventions of clock in century. The first world clock was invented in 14th century, right 700 years ago. Now I will present the three eras of clock: ancient era clock, ancient era invention, mid era clock invention, and modern era. Ancient era. The sundial clocks were the first type of clocks where people could see the sun and calculate the time. When the sun was above the head, it would be noon, and when it moved its direction, it would be evening and then night. Then there were also sand clocks. This is a sand clock where the sand moved from one container to another container and the people could calculate the time. Late invention of 16th century was pendulum clock. This was also called the grandfather clock. This was invented by Christina Huygens in 1656. In this, there was a pendulum in this clock. It moved backward and forward. This was traditionally used by people for accurating and measuring the time. This is the pendulum clock made by me. Modern clocks are the digital clocks. They measure time in minutes and seconds. This is the modern clock. Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone. As you all can see, I have kept here some copper utensils like copper pot, lid, two small copper pots, plate and a spoon. So today I am going to tell you some of the benefits of using copper as cookware. In ancient times, people throw copper coins in rivers, lakes. Do you know why? Because copper slowly dissolves in water and kills harmful microbes. In this way, water is purified for aquatic animals and human beings. So we should drink water in copper vessels and try to use copper utensils for cooking. Copper is a naturally occurring substance in our body and its recommended amount is good, especially for liver and brain. Copper vessels improve immune systems, improve digestion and reduces acidity. By using copper cookware, any meal can be made in a perfect or gentle way. They are the best pots and pans to roasting. This is because copper has a excellent material property. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my all dear friends and teachers. Today's project topic is history of cookware. My ancestor used to make cookware by Dansya, means bronze, so we are known as Kansaras. As ages progress, various cookware introduced to the world. Let's begin and understand various cookwares. Stone Age cookwares are made of stone and soil. There are various advantages like number 1. Cookware is made of stone and soil. Number 2. It is cheaper. Number 3. No machine to make it. And number 4 is last, that food gives nice taste. It also has a disadvantages like number 1, it can be broken. Number 2, it has a short life. Number 3, it cannot be handled easily. Number 4, it has a heavy weight. Now we'll talk about Metal Age. In Metal Age, cookwares are made of various types of metal like iron, aluminum, steel, bronze, copper and zinc. Cookware has advantages like number 1, it can be easily handled. Number 2, it is durable. Number 3, it has a long life. And number 4, it gives metal to our body. It has a disadvantages also like number 1, it needs machine to make. Number 2, it is costly. Number 3, aluminum is not good for health. Number 4, poor quality metals are not safe. In modern age, in 21st century, new modern cookwares are introduced like microwave oven, air fryer, gas stove, electric stove, pan, cooker, etc. It has various advantages like number 1, easy to use. Number 2, less hard work. Number 3, save time, quick cooking. Number 4, safe. It also have a disadvantages. Number 1, it needs power. Number 2, it is costly. Number 3, it does not have a long life. Number 4, the food is not healthy. We will learn different types of cookware. I hope you like my project. Thank you. Good afternoon, my all dear friends and teachers. My name is Devkan Sara, and today's project topic is history of cookware. My ancestor used to make cookware by Dansya, means bronze, so we are known as Kansaras. As ages progress, various cookware introduced to the world. Let's begin and understand various cookwares. Stone Age cookwares are made of stone and soil. There are various advantages like number 1, cookware is made of stone and soil. Number 2, it is cheaper. Number 3, no machine to make it. And number 4 is last, that food gives nice taste. It also has a disadvantages like number 1, it can be broken. Number 2, it has a short life. Number 3, it cannot be handled easily. Number 4, it has a heavy weight. Now we'll talk about Metal Age. In Metal Age, cookwares are made of various types of metal like iron, aluminum, steel, bronze, copper and zinc. Cookware has advantages like number 1, it can be easily handled. Number 2, it is durable. Number 3, it has a long life. And number 4, it gives metal to our body. It has a disadvantages also like number 1, it needs machine to make. Number 2, it is costly. Number 3, aluminum is not good for health. Number 4, poor quality metals are not safe. In modern age, in 21st century, new modern cookwares are introduced like microwave oven, air fryer, gas stove, electric stove, pan, cooker, etc. It has various advantages like number 1, easy to use, number 2, less hard work, number 3, save time, quick cooking, number 4, safe. It also have a disadvantages. Number 1, it need power. Number 2, it is costly. Number 3, it does not have a long life. Number 4, the food is not healthy. Today we learn different types of cookware. I hope you like my project. Thank you. I'm going to walk you through the evolution of cookware. So, what is cookware? Cookware are the utensils for cooking over open fire or gas stove. Early man used to cook the hunt on the open fire. Then came this stove boiling. In this, the hot stones in the water and the water used to boil. Then came the pottery. Pottery was the important one of the evolution of cookware. It kept the water softer. It kept the water cool in summer times. Then came the metal. The first metal was copper. The second was this iron, which was very durable. And then the bronze and the silver, which was used by the rich people. Then this modern cooking. We have already seen this aluminium in our grandparents' house. And the steel are very common in modern kitchens. Then came the glass. Now, and this pan is had a covering of the Teflon coating, and this is a gas which used electricity and these are very common in the modern kitchen. First, we used to make food with the coal, and nowadays we use this induction cookers, which is used by electricity. Which is very popular in the modern kitchen. Today we have a cookware for everything. For this, we can thank our ancestors to develop this evolution of cookware. Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone. The topic evolution of mobile phones. Firstly, I would like to show you some 0G mobile phones and 4G mobile phones. These are two mobiles of Lava and LG company. This is a 2G mobile phone made by Samsung. These two Samsung mobile phones are 3G. And these are modern 4G mobile phones of Asus and Samsung. A mobile phone is a portable device that can receive or make calls over a radio frequency range. The first mobile phone was invented as early in 1940s when engineers at AT&T but the first handheld mobile phone was demonstrated by Mr. John and Mr. Martin Cooper in 1973. Dynatac 8000X was the first available handheld mobile phone. In India, mobile phone was introduced in 1995. Mobile phones evolved from 0G mobile phones, that means zero generation mobile phones, to 2G mobile phones, and today's 3G and 4G technology. Mobile phones also evolved from brick style to modern touchscreen smartphones. In olden days, mobile phones were used for calling and texting. Nowadays, mobile phones are used to do literally everything, from paying for your next meal to tracking your sleeping habits. Today's mobile phones have no limits and we are becoming fully dependent on it. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I'm going to speak on the project I have made on history of clock. This is my project. We keep track of time almost every day in our lives. Our sleep, studies, and even our online classes. But have you ever wondered how time was counted in the past? The earliest time-keeping devices relied on the sun and were called sundials. Sundials were used in the ancient times. The first sundials were simply sticks placed in the ground that showed time by length and direction of their shadow. The water clock was invented soon after the dial by an Egyptian king. It was perhaps the most accurate timekeeping devices of the ancient world. This is a water clock. In fact, Plato, the legendary Greek philosopher, created the alarm clock through the use of water clock. As water filled up the resource, it blew and whistled that disturbed his sleep. Until the candle clock was invented, this candle had evenly spaced markings on it, which indicated the duration of the time that has passed since it was first lit. Then the mechanical clocks arrived. The first clock was built in the 11th century by Pope Sylvester II. It took 50 years for a pendulum clock to be built, resulting in a massive leap in the evolution of timekeeping devices. And this is the pendulum clock, and it was made in the 1656 AD. Towards the 19th to 20th century, world wars started to occur. Wristwatches were first worn by the soldiers. And this is a wristwatch. To make these devices more accurate, cloth watches were then invented in 1927. This is a cloth watch, and it was made in the 1927 AD. With advanced technology nowadays, time can be tracked on our mobile phones, computers, and smartwatches. We have indeed come a long way in inventing and more accurate time-keeping devices. Thank you and bye.
Hello teacher and my friends. My Nirmaan project is History of Clock. This is my project. This is sundial clock and this is pendulum clock. Sundial clock. By 2100 BC, the Egyptians had made the first sundial or a shadow clock. The measure of time during the day. Sundial shows the time by displaying the position of a shadow on flat surface which has making that correspondence to the hours. Second, pendulum clock. Pendulum clock is a clock that
Pendulum clock is a clock that uses a pendulum. It is swinging weight as a timekeeping element. It is invented by Christian Huygens in 17th century Dutch. Hello friends, now can you see this aeroplane? This is history aeroplane and this is modern aeroplane. History aeroplane and modern aeroplane. In earlier times, people use history aeroplane and nowadays we use modern aeroplane. History aeroplane and modern aeroplane. Most earlier aircraft are made from wood and fabric, but modern aeroplane is made from metal. History aeroplane had lower carrying capacity, but modern aeroplane has higher carrying capacity. History aeroplane had lower safety features, but modern aeroplane had good safety features. History aeroplane was light, but modern aeroplane has higher weight. It is improved flying capacity. It has light. It also changed the pattern. I had made both aeroplanes at home. I really like this aeroplane and
Good morning everyone. Today I will speak about history of cookware. Earthen pottery was the first step in the evolution of cookware. These were found in China and Japan. The next evolution was metalware. Copper was the first metal used by men. Then it is our beloved cast iron, which dates back to 5th century BCE in China. It is the cheaper version of steel. Because metal were used, the addition of features were added like handles, rings, etc. In a modern kitchen, utensils like Teflon, stainless steel, glass, aluminium, etc. are being used for cooking. Thank you.
Necessity of life is food, shelter and clothing, which can be purchased without money. Hi friends, in these days, in corona pandemic, we have seen our parents making online payments. But do you know, was this online payment in ancient times? No, it wasn't in ancient times. So let's learn about evaluation of digital currency. First, there was barter system. Barter system is the process of exchanging things with each other. First, people used to exchange all the things with each other to fulfill their daily needs, such as apples, bananas, hens, cows, milk, eggs, clothes, books, etc. But this had many drawbacks. So, further came cowries, gold and silver bars, and then came metal currency, which are introduced as Greeks and known as metal coins. Then came paper currency, which is known as banknotes and money, which we use in these days too. So now, let's go in the world of digital currency. Now we have digital currency. There are some apps which can help us to transform money with each other by sitting at home. They are Google Pay, Paytm and PhonePe. And this is the process from barter system to digital currency and evaluation of money with each other. This digital currency has made our life much easier than before. Hats off to technology and science.